Welcome to AVM Biotechnology's introductory presentation. AVM Biotechnology is a private Seattle-based biotech company that has successfully invested $31 million US in developing their lead small molecule drug, AVM 0703, moving from its discovery to its current phase 2 human clinical trial. This groundbreaking technology has been acknowledged in both 2022 and 2023 by the U.S. National Cancer Institute as a showcase company and further acknowledged in 2024 as an NIH innovation company. Due to some outstanding results they are having with all types of cancers, their vision is to sell the first drug everyone takes when they're first diagnosed with any form of cancer. With a focus to cancer therapy breakthroughs with checkpoint inhibitors and CAR T cell therapies, over the last 23 years, all cancer deaths have only fallen 5% in the US. So although new therapies have been developed, a meaningful decrease in cancer deaths has not occurred. AVM is dedicated to changing this statistic by creating a durable, long-term anti-cancer response. AVM 0703 is cancer agnostic, has virtually no side effects, and is low cost. Their drug is saving lives, having been tested on 23 forms of cancer in late-stage cancer patients under compassionate use, and as part of their clinical trial on relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphomas and leukemias. AVM's Chief Science Officer has been invited to sit on an FDA panel. The FDA cites a problem for new cancer drugs, that is, Big Pharma is chasing incremental market share. Almost 70% of new cancer drugs are Me Too drugs. We don't need 60 versions of chemo or 56 types of cancer checkpoint inhibitor drugs. Those markets are already saturated. But drug companies are chasing existing market share and not growing the market. Innovative and new drugs that move the needle are not getting to market. In contrast, AVM 0703 targets a unique and novel immunomodulatory pathway, a pathway that works as a standalone, but works even better in combination with other existing anti-cancer therapies, making them work better, increasing overall patient survival. It has been said that simple is best. AVM 0703 fights cancer with the tools patients already have. The drug activates a never-before-known natural killer T cell and restarts your own immune system to destroy abnormal cancer cells naturally. This is part of your innate immunity, which is the defense system you were born with. As these particular cancer-killing cells have never been documented or discovered previously, AVM has called these AVM NKT cells. After infusion of AVM 0703, AVM NKT cells home to the abnormal cancer cells and kill them, as part of an anti-cancer response everyone already has. The drug then creates antibodies that provide ongoing adaptive immunity, providing a long-term durable anti-cancer response. AVM 0703 is administered to patients as a simple 1-hour outpatient infusion at a concentration of 18 milligrams per kilogram of patient weight. All drug ingredients are generally recognized as safe, permitting administration of a very high, or what's known as a suprapharmacological dose, of dexamethasone sodium phosphate. The base molecule has a 65-year safety record since its FDA approval in 1958. AVM has reformulated and patented AVM 0703, forging a completely novel immunological response completely different than regular dexamethasone. In fact, the adverse effects of regular dexamethasone are not even found in AVM 0703, and the method of action is completely different. Adverse effects of AVM 0703 are minor and temporary and only affect approximately 1/4 of patients. Minor side effects include increased blood glucose, trouble sleeping, itching during infusion, hypertension, and low potassium. AVM 0703 is low cost, takes 4 weeks to manufacture, has a 2-year unrefrigerated shelf life, and the drug is currently manufactured under license by a big pharma drug company. Repeated dosing of AVM 0703 can occur in 3-week intervals to gain a further deepening effect. The company's phase 2
human clinical trial for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma focuses on the most severe cases known as relapsed refractory patients, where cancer is not responding to standard treatments or where cancer is returned after prior treatments. The trial is for all subsets of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma with or without central nervous system involvement. The company needs 30 patients to complete the trial and currently have 16 patients already enrolled. Response rates of all 16 patients, as defined by the FDA's metric, is well beyond the 30% overall response rate threshold required. At the midpoint in this clinical trial, the drug is outperforming all existing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma therapies by a wide margin in all metrics. With a sample size of 16, the risk of a statistical variation worse than the amazing current results is extremely low. This slide lists the most relevant therapies for AVM's Phase 2 clinical trial on relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This is the worldwide competition, and it is graded primarily by whether the patient lives or dies, the most important benchmark for a cancer drug. AVM is shown at the top here with a Kaplan-Meier standard 64% predicted survival as a monotherapy and a 76% survival rate as a combination therapy, higher than all known therapies for relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Remember, these are the results for the Walking Dead patient group, those with less than 6 months to live. If you gave AVM-0703 to patients when they were first diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and gave it less cancer to attack and kill, it makes sense that this could be the first drug you take when you get any non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So as soon as marketing approval is granted by the FDA for the relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma patient group, as the drug outperforms all other drugs, doctors will start using it off-label for all non-Hodgkin's lymphoma patients. This market is more than 3 times larger than the relapsed and refractory market in the US alone. But more importantly, the extension to other cancers is next, as we are already seeing these results in compassionate use, such as complete remissions in brain cancer patients when no other therapies are working. Compassionate use is also for the Walking Dead category of patients with different forms of cancer. What if you gave AVM-0703 to a patient when they first got diagnosis of any cancer? The company's vision is both real and substantiated. These predicted survival rates for AVM-0703 are expected to continue to rise with time as median survival has not been completed, increasing by 6% in the last 3 months alone.
Seagen Corp of Washington State sold to Pfizer a year ago for $43 billion US in cash. That deal concluding before the end of 2023, with Seagen selling $1.7 billion in annual drug sales. Seagen's flagship drug, amounting to 30% of Seagen sales, was brentuximab, one of the competing drugs with AVM-0703 on the previous slide. The sale to Pfizer supports an implied valuation for brentuximab of $13 billion US for that one drug on a pro rata basis to what Pfizer paid for the company. Brentuximab, when combined with lenalidomide, a drug not owned by Seagen, provide relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma patients with 43% 2-year predicted survival, high adverse effects affecting 94% of all patients, and a per-patient annual cost of approximately $268,000. AVM-0703 outclasses brentuximab completely, with survival 67% higher, almost 4 times less adverse effects, and an average per-patient cost over 5 times lower. And it works with all other cancers as well, where brentuximab does not. AVM also reconditions a patient's blood supplies and works with central nervous system involvement, where brentuximab does not. For non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, AVM has a superior drug to an inferior drug that's sold for an implied value of $13 billion US, providing a floor value in the valuation of AVM-0703.
For non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and leukemias, AVM-0703 has blockbuster potential. A blockbuster drug is defined as a drug selling over $1 billion annually. And to get a blockbuster drug, you need to define what is most important in a cancer drug, as highlighted in yellow: survival, quality of life, and patient access. AVM-0703 has the highest rates of long-term survival for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and leukemias. It has the lowest amount of adverse effects, and it has the lowest patient cost, allowing everyone to get treatment. So those three attributes should give you a blockbuster drug. But in addition, AVM-0703 works on all cancers. It's cancer agnostic. It's not a poison. It uses the body's own natural killer T cells to kill cancer cells or any other abnormal cells. And it works with other drugs, making those therapies better and giving higher long-term survival. Compassionate use is where health regulators allow patients with terminal or severely disabling medical conditions gain access to new developing treatments with either medications or devices. This is basically for relapsed and refractory no treatment option patients with limited time to live. In addition to the company's clinical trial, AVM is leveraging single-person, open-label clinical trials on various cancers. So far, 37 patients have been treated with a total of 150 plus total infusions on 24 types of cancers. CEOs of cancer drugs in clinical trials would not normally allow the same drug to be used for compassionate use for fear that it might bring negative results to its clinical trial on a specific cancer. However, the unique method of action of AVM-0703 is safe and is cancer agnostic, so it has benefit to them all. Some work better than others, but there's a positive clinical effect to 100% of patients infused. The results of compassionate use have been outstanding, and this data forms the basis for future off-label use of AVM-0703 for many other cancers where the drug creates a durable, long-term positive effect. The responses by cancer victims to AVM-0703 on a wide variety of solid tumors has been truly amazing when you understand that all standards of care have failed for these relapsed and refractory patients, many of them very old. Here's a case where the company has provided the drug to an 84-year-old male with central nervous system carcinoma. The patient was inoperable, chemo-ineligible, and had no standard of care options. He could not hear out of the left ear or see out of the left eye, with cancer growing out of his left eye. He did not have much time to live. The patient received AVM-0703 and immediately had an amazing response and could hear again and see again in 48 hours. The cancer was destructed and the patient went into stable disease after a second dose of AVM-0703. This is a second example of infusion of AVM-0703 under compassionate use. This is a desmoplastic tumor. Desmoplastic tumors are tough to treat chemically as they have a protective coating of collagen that stops the penetration of chemo and other cancer therapies to the cancer itself. Other examples of desmoplastic tumors are brain cancers and pancreatic cancers. So the fact that AVM-0703 easily penetrates desmoplastic tumors is groundbreaking. This slide shows a 21-year-old female patient that has a rare form of abdominal cancer named desmoplastic small round cell tumor sarcoma. She had 5 prior chemo cancer treatments that had no effect, and again we have a patient with nowhere to turn and no standard of care options left. The patient received a total of 6 treatments of AVM-0703, each creating a deepening response to the point of cancer destruction and stable disease. Note the scans from left to right showing the dramatic change in debulking the enormous cancer tumors. AVM has advised this patient to continue with a new chemo treatment because AVM-0703 works really well with chemo, even if prior treatments were unsuccessful on their own. AVM-0703 resets a patient's immune system to make other treatments work, so AVM is not cannibalistic to other treatments. It actually makes them work better. In this case, it is best to consolidate and eradicate the cancer with chemo when AVM-0703 has the cancer on the run already, creating the best long-term patient outcome. AVM has first mover advantage and a significant patent portfolio with patent protection through 2040. They have 34 patents granted and 68 patents pending as of March of this year. Tweaks to the drug molecule are continually being made and patented to extend the overall patent portfolio life. In addition to patent protection, There are trade secrets on the manufacture of AVM-0703 that would take a competitor 4 years to research. AVM-0703 is a class 4 molecule that can be reproduced in only 5 facilities worldwide. It is worth noting that AVM has easily survived 2 patent challenges from Bristol Myers Squibb, with the matter both times settled in the company's favor within 1 week. AVM Biotechnology has been awarded and received $4.4 million in National Institute of Health and National Cancer Institute grants. These grants include funding for cancer, but also for the use of AVM-0703 with diabetes. The company finds it reverses stage 1 diabetes and slows advancement of imminently pre-diabetic patients. Past and current awards of grants are a testament to the ongoing validation of AVM's cancer technology and the government's commitment to AVM's product development. AVM plans to complete its Phase 2 human trial by the end of 2024, early 2025. Then apply in 2025 for breakthrough therapy designation with the FDA to allow a fast track to market. Breakthrough drug designation means AVM gets a full-time FDA designee to guide the process and the drug to the point of sale. After expedited FDA review, the FDA will grant AVM authority to sell to the relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma markets in the U.S., expected during 2026. AVM expects to strategically partner with a large, big pharma entity with international market reach to distribute and sell the drug, and expects to post first sales by the end of 2026. It is expected that the big pharma partner will provide marketing distribution and provide all further funding required to market and distribute the drug as part of the deal. AVM will require a confirmatory Phase 3 trial, but will be allowed to sell to the U.S. market at the same time. AVM needs an estimated $35 million additional capital to get to the big pharma license and partnership sales stage. As a note, all compassionate use that has gone on ahead of time will see AVM-0703 sold in off-label use, being used for any type of cancer where MDs understand it has an effect. Due to its safety profile and low cost, off-label use could quickly eclipse authorized use.
Assuming a 10 to 30% market share of the U.S. relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma market, a market with only 109,000 new patients annually, inclusive of lymphocytic leukemia, the company would generate between 0.4 and 1.3 billion US in sales. But likely, if you have the best drug out there, and relapsed and refractory patients have no options left, market penetration will be much higher very quickly. When our CSO, Teresa Deischer, worked as a Stanford graduate student, under her management, her team followed data that indicated that beta blockers could help heart failure patients. The industry at that time indicated otherwise, and some of her contemporaries indicated that beta blockers would actually kill heart failure patients. Following the data, Teresa's team proved otherwise, and beta blockers became the gold standard for heart failure patients and captured more than 90% of the heart failure market in the US within 1 year. Applying those 90% market capture metrics, AVM sells $3.9 billion US after year 1. Expansion to other markets are shown here as to 10 to 30% market penetration, using a metric of 2 infusions per patient per year at $20,000 per infusion. It is obvious that the rest of the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma market in the US, that is 3 times larger than the relapsed and refractory market, will follow quickly in off-label use, with doctors prescribing AVM-0703 for patients that first get non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Additional planned market niches include the 6 major markets for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the UK, Spain, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan. Note that we have not included additional cancer usage for off-label use that will be occurring because the drug also has a durable response for many other sorts of cancers, where the drug has saved lives under compassionate use. Expected EBITDA is 60% of sales net to AVM, allowing for costs, including distributor partnering splits. Once FDA approval for sales is achieved, after-tax cash flow is estimated in the table on this slide. including all costs and income taxes. The table is denominated in billions of dollars. The projection is for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and lymphocytic leukemia markets in the 7 major countries. No other cancer or disease markets are included. The projection assumes an average of 2 infusions per patient. It is interesting to note 2 things. First, that at $20,000 per infusion pricing, or $40,000 per patient, AVM already represents the lowest cost anti-cancer therapy of all competing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma drugs offered, with most competing therapies costing well over $100,000 per patient. Second, management estimates it can retain blockbuster profits greater than $1 billion annually, with infusion pricing dropping to $5,000 per infusion while maintaining only 30% market penetration. A long-term initiative of AVM is to move the needle on patient deaths. Highest in class predicted survival and lowest in class adverse effects could establish AVM 0703 as part of a new non-Hodgkin's lymphoma standard of care. The ability to drop price shows the robust nature of the company's profitability model and can be a tool to increase patient access to save more lives.
AVM 2-year budgets total $35 million US to get to the point of sales and big pharma distribution partnerships. At the point of sales, big pharma partnering agreements will split income in return for distribution. Including prior funding, totaling $27 million US, total estimated drug development cost to the point of sales is only $61 million. This is extremely efficient compared to a 2020 study that estimated the median cost of getting a new drug to market was $985 million. Primary contributors to the lower drug development costs in AVM's case are the experiences gained by founder Teresa Deischer when working for other big pharma interests, and concentrating on just getting the science through the FDA clinical trial. Marketing and large pharma C-suite executives and overheads have been foregone in favor of a small in-house laboratory and a small capable team to move the science forward. The next $35 million may be some of the last equity available to the public, with sales 2 years away. We see this equity as the last equity a Microsoft or an Apple would require to get to the point that they never needed equity again. Without a need for equity, there is no dilution, and all the increasing gains the company makes goes to their existing shareholders' benefit. Primary milestones during the next 2 years are the completion of the Phase 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma clinical trial, followed by the FDA Breakthrough Therapy designation and FDA authority to sell to the relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma market, as well as to continue research into diabetes markets and the definition of additional markets such as wound healing, multiple sclerosis, blood conditioning, etc. The fact is, we don't know today all the diseases that AVM 0703 affects, but AVM NKT cells home to any abnormal cell and kill it, and this dynamic can be effective to other disease. As far as other markets are involved, it is worth noting that one of our shareholders contacted flesh-eating disease on a Florida beach. The shareholder spent 6 months with all known U.S. standards of care trying to get the disease under control. When nothing else worked, our shareholder's doctors were forced to advise amputation of the leg as the only standard of care left. Our shareholder sought compassionate use of AVM 0703 through their doctor and was infused with the drug. A few days after infusion, doctors withdrew bone marrow from the patient's leg that was used as a salve on the deep open wound. 3 months later, our shareholder was healed and did not lose their leg. This is another life-saving example of the use of AVM 0703 as an introduction to wound control markets. Teresa Deischer, the company's CSO and acting CEO, has a storied background in pre-patent stem cell discovery and changing the standard of care for heart failure patients and numerous patents for third-party biotech companies. The other directors, Jerry McLean and Daniel Spina, are large shareholders who have trusted business development backgrounds. C-suite candidates will be part of ongoing developments in the next funding cycle, but are not required for the stage of advancement that centers on FDA approval of AVM 0703.
AVM Biotechnology has an esteemed scientific advisory board. This is a most illustrious list of scientific advisors to the company who are worldwide specialists of immunology science who all contribute to AVM-0703 product development. Notable amongst these world-renowned advisors are William Matsui, Frank Buchareit, and Pietro Dotti. A first metric to employ for valuation is the current data from compassionate use and the current clinical trial. With the trial half over and having enrolled 16 of the total 30 patients required, the statistics are already largely known. Two separate industry specialists, a biotech analyst and a trusted independent colleague with a career in the drug development field, have provided AVM valuation estimates today of between 300 and 500 million US dollars, equating to $10 to $17 per share, based on AVM's current issued and outstanding shares. A second metric is the list of competitor companies shown here that are at similar stages of drug development. All of these are public NASDAQ companies and are sitting with a lot of cash, so not entirely comparable, but the average of these 8 companies today compared to AVM's value is roughly $333 million US. The real difference to manage here is that each of these 8 companies have no technologies that will move the needle on the cancer markets they are trying to address, because their lead drugs are simply not working. AVM's next $5 million in equity funding is priced at a deep discount to current valuations due to the deep sell-off in the biotech industry that started in 2022 and continues today. Capital availability is not what it used to be. We believe that AVM-0703 is the most relevant cancer treatment technology in the world today, a drug that can finally move the needle on cancer deaths. Low cost to manufacture at less than $100 per patient infusion, a 2-year unrefrigerated shelf life, easy to manufacture, relevant and effective against all cancers, high patient safety, low adverse effects, and elegantly resolves cancer using systems your body already has. The drug is nothing short of remarkable. The company needs 25 to 30 million in funding to get it to the point of what can only be described as blockbuster sales, and only 2 years away. The company needs a patron, someone that will share in its success and become forever associated as the funder that brought a cancer cure to the world, a part of their personal brand. Pfizer is making the drug under contract, and like Seagen of Washington State, Pfizer may well purchase AVM as another Washington State biotech company for untold billions, but only after the drug gets to market. The reasons to invest here are many, and based on the results of late-stage cancer patients, it could very well become the first drug everyone takes when they're diagnosed with any form of cancer. But more relevant than the wealth this technology can generate, the most important reason to invest is that in your lifetime, someone you know and love will need it.